Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Bible study. We are going to continue. This is the third Bible study about Solomon. And now we are going to find more about Solomon. We'll dig more into his life. And I entitled this Solomon's Wives because just he did not go just for one, he went for lots. And that is going to be about the destruction, where this is coming, the destruction. All right, let's dive in. Solomon wives. So we are in 1 King chapter 11. So he started with one and then he built up more. And you will see how many more. So King Solomon, however, loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter, which will be Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites. They were from nations about which the Lord, God Almighty, had told the Israelites, you must not intermarry with them. Why? Because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods. And at this point, Solomon did just like it. They could be like, there's like this one. I chose, maybe they are cute, beautiful, but their heart, they're in the wrong place. They serve other gods, not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Different ones, like you name it. Uh, Different ones. We'll go into that in a minute. And what is bad about it? To serve other gods than God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will turn the hearts to the other gods, which are made of gold, silver, wood, you name it, stones. They cannot walk, they cannot see, they cannot talk. And not to marry none of those. Because when you get in the marriage is different. Marriage is like intermarry, like in marriage you become one with your husband. And if the wife brings into the marriage her gods of cows, whenever you just name it, I'm just like statues, whenever they are, and she worships that, brings it to the marriage. When you're one with her, they get your heart to her side. And that was what God was saying. Now, nevertheless, Solomon held fast to them in love. Wow. Even though God said no, he had so much wisdom. When you have so much wisdom, you should know that whenever God told you, you got to obey. So at one point, he had the wisdom, he still had the wisdom, but he was disobedient to God. So disobedience take you on the wrong side. Now, verse 3, he had 700 wives of royal birth. Woo! How many? You heard well. 700 wives. And then they born in royal family. They were royal at birth. Okay? And 300 concubines. 300 concubines besides 700. So in total, 1,000 wives. And his wives led him astray. Because all these Moabites, Ammonites, what the Bible says he gathered, they had different gods. Not the God of Israel like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Just different ones. And led him astray, as God said. And not just like, if you remember what God said, if you keep my commandments and all decrees and all that, I will give you also a long life. Did he keep it? No, looks like he didn't. Did he have a long life? No, because as soon as he crossed that, God chopped his life. So he pretty much, when he died, he was 55 years old. So 4 years of ruling as a king. So he went to the throne when he was 15. And then, of course, his mom helped, Bathsheba helped him. That 40 years, and he was just 55. I know that one of the pictures are like, he shows him like gray hair. He could have gray hair like 55, like that much, but most likely he didn't, because he has a very good life. Otherwise, he shouldn't gray so fast. But verse 4, what it says, as Solomon grew old, his wife turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to Lord his God, as the heart of David his father had been. Also, we have to do with his fame. As soon as people found out that he has so much wisdom, he can solve all kinds of problems and rule so well. And all these queens, princesses, they found out he may not be a good looking, but they drove to his kingdom and to him to find out who he is and how he's ruling and how he's like all the good things we're saying about him. And he married them all, 700 wives. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot, people. If you think like one or two, even three is a lot. Imagine 700. Now, look what he did. He followed, verse 5, he followed Ashtoreth and goddess of the Sidonians, and Molech, the detestable god of Ammonites. So Solomon did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He did not follow the Lord completely as David his father had done. Now, wisdom, if you see like a man who has so much wisdom, how come with so much wisdom and he can see the hearts of people and all that and read into it, discerns the good and evil, he knew so much. How come he got astray from what God had for him? It's the love of women. He started loving women, and then they brought into the marriage their own gods. And after that, God did not like it. Imagine that you serve God, right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but you marry somebody who God did not let you. She told you in advance, from that part, you're not going to marry. Just say you marry a witch, maybe. I don't know. That's kind of harsh. She will bring all that into your house, all those things, and she's devoted to her side. How do you think the marriage will work? And don't you think they get your heart in the other side? So the love of women, and not just any, those women, probably the much beautiful, he wouldn't care. He had the fame, and after that, it's coming the down. It's how he fall came from having so many wives. If you'll be happy with that one, with the one from the Pharaoh, Pharaoh's daughter from Egypt, it wouldn't be such a big downfall. But he went much further, and whoever they came through to him, and their eyes hit them, and fell in love with them, they married them all. That's the destruction comes. Now, in verse 7, so this picture is the god of Molech. Okay, verse 7, on a hill east of Jerusalem, Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the detestable god of Moab, and for Molech, the detestable god of Ammonites. He did the same for all his foreign wives. So if you did for one, everybody's like, the other one's like, why you did for that? You're not loving me. You're not doing that for me. So all 700 wives, he led all of them to bring their God into Jerusalem and have a high place and burn incense and all that. And offer sacrifice to their God. 8. He did the same for all his foreign wives who burn incense and offer sacrifices to their God. Now, we just pause a little bit. What is Molech so detestable to God? And that's the picture right there. So it looks like a cow, horse. This one, some of the pictures like has horns. I couldn't get all of that in here, but has horns. Has arms like a person, but the face is like a cow with horns, and or some kind of animal. They will bring their children as for sacrifice. For example, just say that the baby is brought to, this is just like this is made of stone, right? So this is a statue made of stone, but people will bring from that culture, they bring their children and burn them, and they have like somewhere in the middle there that they just go put fire and put their child in the fire to burn sacrifices to their gods. Wow. And that's why God did not like something like that. They bring their future generation that like your children after you, to carry on your culture, your everything from you, like David put it in Solomon, so he carried the culture and everything else, and you actually put your future generation and kill them completely. And not just that, for just killing one baby, it kills whole nation. It's how God sees it. So they brought their little children and burned them as a sacrifice to their gods. And it's not just, it's a statue, people. It's a statue, and that was bad. A man with so much wisdom, I'm just like always ask myself, a man with so much wisdom, how he would do such thing and let even like children will be sacrificed there, how they would do such thing. It's the love of women. And as they made their wives, Solomon made his wives more precious than God and their love for them. They says, okay, if you love me, and he did, then do this for me. Just raise the statue whenever that for my God, and on the high hill, high place, and that I can burn incense and bring sacrifice to my God. And the other one said that, and the other one for her God, and then it brings all these evil. And with these altars, what they build to their gods, there are spirits. As they build that, there are spirits behind that, evil spirits. And they took his heart as soon as those spirits land, as soon as they build one, just one, the spirit lands there, and an evil spirit, then get another one. That's why it's what he ended up with not listening to God, ended up down in destructions. Destruction got him. He got destruction, not distracted into, I would say, all his everything was gone, I would say. No matter how much wisdom he had, he let his heart led by his wife, by his women, I would say. Let's go 9, verse 9. The Lord became angry with Solomon because his heart had turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice. Although he had forbidden Solomon to follow other gods, Solomon did not keep the Lord's command. Here I would say, no matter how much wisdom he said, because he wrote the Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Songs of Solomon. He wrote all these, and he says that, and he recognized that, the most is the wisdom. Leave everything, if you have, and get wisdom. He writes all those, all these proverbs that we can learn a lot from him. You can learn a lot even these days. He left all this behind, but he did not follow what he knew. All right. Verse 11. So the Lord said to Solomon, since this is your attitude and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees, which I commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. Verse 12. Nevertheless, for the sake of David your father, I would not do it during your lifetime. I will tear it off of your hand of your son. Yet I will not tear the whole kingdom from him, but I will give him one tribe for the sake of David, my servant, and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen. So he would not tear the kingdom apart. He promised from the beginning, if he would keep God's commandments, he will give him a long life, and he will have like the kingdom, and to his children, will pass it on his child, only one of his sons. But if he doesn't, the kingdom will taken away from him. Now, what he says, verse 12, nevertheless, for the sake of David your father, even David died, God still dealing with David's sons, and he will not punish him so harsh. He will not take the kingdom what Solomon was alive. We'll just let him live and do whenever, which is hard for God to see all those incense and sacrifices their children there in Israel, and not do anything about it because of David. Imagine how much God loved David. And not just that, he would say, he will not tear the whole kingdom from Solomon's hands, because he could tear it apart in pieces, but he will just do it in two, tear it just in two. And I have that picture there, Israel and Judah. Again, for the sake of David my servant, and because he loved Jerusalem, is because of Jerusalem that he had chosen. But first he puts David, because David was a servant of God all his life, with a mistake that we know, So if you do, so what we take from this lesson, no matter how much wisdom you have, you are a discerner, discerning the spirit, you have all kinds of abilities. If you do not obey God and keep his commandments. So what was the commandment Solomon did not keep? To have one God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. To love God first. But Solomon turned away from God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He went to different things, different gods. He turned his back on the real God. So that was the first commandment. And the decrees he did not keep. So for that reason, the kingdom was taken from him, divided in half, but he left him live. After he died, it was pulled apart, and we'll see next will be Jeroboam and Rehoboam. It says it was not even none of his children, it was of his much inferior than him, was one of his what do you call it? Let me go back here. Let me see if I see it right now. Underneath him, just say underneath him. Subordinates, yeah, I have it here right there. And give it to one of your subordinates much lower than Solomon. Wow. I hope nothing will happen to us like that. Obedience, it's number one. Obedience. No matter how much wisdom, how much you have honor, wealth, you name it, no matter what, if you're not obedient to serve God, to serve completely with all your heart, then pretty much you lost everything. So be obedient to follow his commands and decrees. It will take you high. Will be like next one will be his son will be on the throne and will carry on. And not just that, teach his children now what children will have with all these women. Not even one was what God had told him to have. Not even one. Like the first one was from Egypt, and all the other ones from different cultures. Wow. So that's what we take it with us today. Yes, wisdom is great. We can ask for wisdom, but obedience is much higher. And not just that, we don't want to, because disobedience goes to pride, it goes to much worse things, and that pulls you down. And not just because God pulls you down, the enemy pulls you down on the other side. As soon as you turn away from God, the enemy pulls you on the other side. So better be obedient, be humble, and remain like that the rest of your life. And listen to the voice of God. Whenever God guides you, listen and obey, and that will take you far. And I hope you enjoyed this Bible study as much as I enjoy it. And with this, we conclude the study about the life of Solomon. Till next time, I say goodbye. Goodbye now.